So a quick thing about love here, the topic of love, it's one of the most deepest expressions a human being can ever experience or even understand. Sometimes with a child, they get a gist of it, but they don't completely understand it. You know, when a child is born, they immediately get a lot of love. Love that's beyond their understanding. They are totally helpless. There's nothing that they can really do, but then the parents kind of cradle this child. They protect this child. Even when the child is just like crying or is even frustrated, the parents are trying to understand the child and is very gentle with this child to develop it. So it's a very, very deep expression. Unfortunately, as we grow up as kids, from a baby to like a toddler, we really don't understand it that much, that we take it for granted. We get really spoiled and we have our terrible twos. We're just entirely selfish. In other words, when we grow up, we learn how to love ourselves pretty fast. It's only as we start to mature that we realize it's really not about us. That there's an expression of love that's just not about loving ourselves, but loving other people that's a lot greater. And so this love that we're going to be describing, God's love, is a very deep expression. When things go bad, we still stay beside her. You know, that type of thing gets all messed up, and Hollywood doesn't even do us a favor when it comes to explaining love. It's very difficult because our sinful nature knows how to love ourselves. And sometimes when we look outside, they're teaching us how to love yourself by the shows that you watch, everything in it, and it kind of makes you feel good about things. So when we talk about God's love, it's almost as though it's a foreign topic to us because we've been so jaded with what the world has taught us about love. And it can even happen in levels of Christianity too. You know, where a person will call themselves as a Christian, but they just love themselves, but they terrorize their people. We call them cults, actually. Christian cults. They're fake, right? And then we see other religions that just rule in terror. And believe me, I'm up for the fear of God. I like that because it reminds me of where my place is. But if I stay at the fear of God and not understand the love of God, man, I'm at a wrong place right now. And there's a lot of religions that just emphasize way too much on the fear of God. Now, I remember how when I was preaching to you guys back in, is it November? It was in November. I emphasized the fear of God. It's almost like it was a terrifying thing, and that was the only thing that I knew. And I have to do that because it's almost as though we keep, oh, God is such a loving God, and we distort it with a lot of the things that we know, that we forget that this is the kind of person that we serve. And so I have to balance that out. I believe the fear of God helps us stay pure and helps us to be straight in our society. Because with Abraham, the reason why he lied to, I think it was Abimelech, was because, well, I said that she was my sister because I didn't think this place had the fear of God here. I didn't know what you would do to me. You guys might be loving yourself. You don't care about what God thinks if you murder someone. So if the fear of God's not here, I didn't know what to do. So the fear of God gives us sort of like that level of keeping straight. Right? But anyway, it's divine in nature, going back to love. It's divine in nature. And it's going to be one of the things I love talking about. You know, I like talking about the fear of God, but this is going to be one of the greatest ones. One of the greatest ones because it's going to take a long time for us to get it. We say it's divine in nature because it says in 1 John 4:8, he who does not love does not know God, for God is love. So it's divine. God is love. And to wrap, see, this is the crazy thing. You go ahead and talk to a 5-year-old and teach him that God is love, and they'll probably say it. But to understand that, as an adult, is going to take a lifetime. Like, what is that? God is love. God is not like the Notebook or the Titanic. It's beyond that. It might be maybe the tip of the iceberg of what the Titanic is showing, but that's not love. It's way deeper than that. And it's not sort of like a robotic thing too, where it says, well, you know what? I'm just going to love this person because it's the right thing to do. And you kind of detach yourself emotionally and just do that. You know, when you do something like that, it's like, oh, I appreciate what you do, but it doesn't come across as a loving gesture. So it's way beyond that. So it not only is like love is a commitment, love is a sacrifice, love is a lot of things that I can't comprehend right now. But God is love. And right now, this worm here that's preaching to you is going to try his best to describe to you what that divine love looks like. It begins in this verse. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And that's one of the most loving statements that I'm beginning to understand. Because as a child, I would just read it. It's like, okay, so he just made it. But when you understand, and I'm not a parent yet, but when you understand a parent, and when a child's about to come into the world, and they know the child's about to come, and how they start to prepare things, then you can see a picture of what God looked like when he was making the heavens and the earth. Yeah, he made it for his glory, but you know what? I know my God so much that he's not the kind of person that loves himself. That when he made the whole heavens and the earth, he was making it for a particular person. He was making it for us. And he did it in such a loving way. You want to know how loving it was? Let me go ahead and describe to you the things that he was making. He didn't go to a store to buy them. He made them with his own hands. If we can dim the lights here so we can appreciate what we're seeing here. Right now what we're going to see is Westerlund 2. It's a star cluster that he made in the universe. You have to get like a really powerful telescope to go see this thing. And it's just one of those amazing scenes that are literally out of this world. That's a star cluster. Just a bunch of stars in one location. I mean, this is nice, right? This looks like a star cluster, but it ain't compared to what this is. This is magnificent. You know, we talk about Christmas decorations and we get awed by that. This guy makes them all day. If we just stop in our own self, stop loving ourselves and actually take a look at the sky and see what he made. That's Westerlund 2. Let me go ahead and show you another thing. This is a nebula. A nebula is a star maker. Well, that's what they say. I don't know what, that's what the scientists say. I frankly don't think they know everything. But they call this the pillars of creation. Because supposedly it has all the chemicals that make life. Because it's similar to us or something. I don't know. But they call it the pillars of creation because it makes stars. That's what they think it is. But I want you to look at that for a minute. This is what God made. It's a star maker. A star maker. Here's another picture. What does that look like to you? Looks like a flower or a rose, maybe. This is they call it the Rose Galaxy. Actually, it's two galaxies. This one over here is one galaxy, and then the other is another galaxy. But the way they're whirling and stuff, they affect each other, like gravity, like the way the moon affects our gravity and the earth affects the moon. It's doing that, so it warps it into this picture of a rose. But here's an interesting thing, and I want you to see this really quickly. Abe, I'm going to need your help on this one. Can you play this video? Oh man, hopefully it plays. I want you to play this video. I think it's called, I think it starts with an A, it's like ARP or something. But I want you to see what scientists have observed when it comes to this particular galaxy.
Here you go.
Yeah, go ahead and play that. Hopefully we can hear it.
This is a view looking high into a patch of the autumn sky containing the constellations Perseus, Andromeda, and Triangulum. We're zooming into a region of space nestled between the demon star Algol on the left and the star Almach on the right.
The same crazy
Our
stuff.
view
Just keep
goes
going.
deeper and narrower into space. It is full of stars that are not visible to the naked eye. Up ahead is a remarkable spiral and S-shaped object that is 300 million light years beyond our Milky Way. This is the interacting galaxy ARC 273. We'll first zoom in to the smaller member of the pair. It is a nearly edge-on galaxy that shows distinct signs of intense star formation at its nucleus. This was perhaps triggered by the encounter with the companion galaxy above. It is gravitationally distorted into a rose-like shape by the tidal pull of the smaller companion galaxy.
Now, I believe my God is a God of design. That didn't happen by accident. See, the thing was, you wouldn't be able to see it from where you are. You had to look deeply into space to discover that. And I believe it's almost a metaphor of what it looks like to discover God's love. That if you're just so far away and into yourself, you won't be able to see it. You have to really go deep and search for it. And 300 million light years away, so they say, you find this rose, little rose out there. It's almost God's way of saying, that's how deep I love you guys. I made a rose to let you know that's how deep it is. This one is the Horsehead Nebula. I don't think he does that by accident. Okay, it looks like a horse head. But I know that, like a seahorse. It's a seahorse right here. And it just makes stars. And then you wonder, like, why does it look like that outside in the universe? And I think God has a way of putting his fingerprints out in the universe to let you know that this isn't an accident. He makes this thing out there that looks similar to a horse. And this is also one of those star maker nebulas. This was what you call the Butterfly Nebula. It looks like a butterfly outside. And I don't know what else to tell you when I see something like that. You know, butterflies symbolically represent freedom or transformation. And sometimes mothers, when they would have a daughter, they would put like butterflies all over their room or even on the ceiling. But our God here, he puts that in outer space for you to see. This one's pretty interesting. It's actually from the Carina Nebula. Spelled differently though. And they found this thing and they called it Mystic Mountain. And it looks like a mountain. I'm like, man, God, you made that for us? It's like, this is an awesome view. Sometimes I would like to go outside and look at the mountains up on the north. This one he made in outer space. A nebula too. It's a star maker. And it just looks like this mountain. This high mountain that nobody can reach or can ever scale. Now this one, supposedly they said that in the middle of it is a star being born. But then I saw something different when I looked at that. What do you guys think when you see something like this?
A pair of eyes.
A pair of eyes? Yeah, it does look like a pair of eyes. What do you guys see? We're talking about God's paintings here for all of us to enjoy. When I looked at this, to me this looks like the clouds over here. This looks like another cloud here. This looks like the heavens are being rended. Someone told me it looked like that it sounded like Jesus was coming or coming out of those things. But yeah, it's a star being made. When I look at this thing, to be honest with you, it looks like the heavens are about to be opened. Like I'm going into a new portal or something. Here, which is what they call deep, extreme Hubble. Like they look really, 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 really deep into it. And what they found was, we have our own Milky Way galaxy. All these over here are a lot of other galaxies out there in space. So many of them, beyond what we can count. We thought that the stars were a lot. With these galaxies, man, there's like so many stars in there, we can't even begin to wonder. And he made that all for us to enjoy. And here's my favorite. What does that look like to you? Looks like a rose? Yeah, that's true. Some of this have called this the Eye of God. It's a nebula. It's called the Helix Nebula. And it reminds me that God is always watching me. Even when I can't see him, he's always watching me. That he cares for me. And so when you start to look at creation this way, you conclude what David said in the Psalms. When I look at the night sky and see the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars you set in place, what are mere mortals that you should think about them? Human beings that you should care for them. It's like he's come to that place where he's admired the sky himself. And he didn't see what we see today. But he could look into the heavens and say, God, you really love me that much. How do you love me this much? He came to a recognition of himself and a recognition of how much God loved him. So that's in the heavens. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And so in the earth, he's also made beauty too, so you can recognize his love. All right? So what we have here is Bora Bora, French Polynesia. And I've never been there before, but when I looked at that place, I'm like, I think I want to go there. In one of those huts. But he made that to help us recognize the beauty that he's made on earth. He also made another thing too. This is the Dishan waterfalls in China. And I'm like, wow, God, the only thing I know about China is that that's where all our stuff is made. I didn't know you made this. And these waterfalls look gorgeous. And I'm like, man, I want to go there. I want to see that place for myself. And I just want to come to that place and maybe bring DJ with me. And we're like, yo, write a song, bro. Because right now, this is like inspirational. You know, we're seeing the waterfalls being poured forth. Man, it's a gorgeous place.
Take a selfie.
Right. Now here's another one in the Maldives. They call this glowing beach or glowing sea. Maldives. And the reason why it glows blue, it literally, that's not Photoshop, it literally glows blue like that. And the reason why they have like these little small phytoplankton that shine blue at night. So if you're there, it might not look blue like that, but sometimes it'll look like blue stars in the middle of the ocean. Sometimes it looks like a glow-in-the-dark wave that's coming through. And you see a blue-white wave coming at you. And I'm like, whoa, that's awesome. God, you made that for me? It's like, yeah, I did. And over at Disneyland, you got to pay for that stuff when they give you a laser water show. Over here, he's like, man, come over here, I'll do it for free. I love you guys this much. And so he creates this out there for us to enjoy. That's how much God loves us. You might recognize this. This is the rice paddies over in the Philippines. I forget where that is, but when I saw this, I thought that was pretty awesome. The rice terraces, right? So I was like, wow, I gotta check that place out too.
That's man-made.
It's man-made? Man, that sucks. But I like it anyway. But here's another un-man-made thing. I like that place. And this is Boracay. I actually photoshopped Harun and RJ sitting on those chairs out there so that you guys can imagine you guys and stuff being there. But it's one of the most beautiful places to be in. I mean, I could mention Hawaii too and their waterfalls and their beaches, but I think Boracay is pretty much the bombest beach you can go. I haven't been there, I just say that by faith. And so you have this beach here. And he also created things to help you recognize the beauty of love. This is what you call a rainbow lorikeet in Australia. And you know how you like to give when your babies are growing up, you want to give them like stuffed toy animals in their beds? We made this for you to enjoy. It's a rainbow lorikeet. They're all over in Australia. I don't like them when they're like in captive, but you would go in the wild into them, and they're all over the trees, man. You know, flying around, fighting with each other, eating stuff. They fly free like that. And maybe, like, if you have pieces of bread and you go over there and throw bread, you probably would love that instead of feeding pigeons. You know, you see these rainbows just coming at you. This is what you call the jewel beetle. I don't know how that thing is made, but it looks beautiful too, with all the color. Oh, can you play this one? And this one is what we call a white peacock. And I'm going to go ahead and let you guys see sort of the beauty that he made in a white peacock. It's a video. It's not that one, but it's a video. Yeah, that one. thing, I know it's a male, right? Because males only have those kind of tails. And actually, fortunately for us, they grow wild over in Palos Verdes and in San Marino area, but they hate them. Those that live over there, they hate them in the veggies because they go on the roofs and make some really nasty poop. But when you look at this peacock, this white peacock, it almost reminds you of a wedding dress. So I think that's where you got the inspiration from. And when the peacock, this male, sees a woman that he likes, he starts calling to her. And then he wants to show her, that, kind of like wow her with what he has. And so he does that. And so I just wanted you guys to see the beauty that God made, and He made it for mankind. He didn't make this as an accident. See, there's something about, and I'll be real, there's something really wrong when it comes to the thought of evolution. And it's like life is just a mistake. And all this just happened just by chance. There's just no love in it. That's why I can't feel anything about it. It's just so mechanical and cold. But when you think of a God who created all these things for you to enjoy, so that you would be amazed and loved, it just goes beyond me. I wish I could express it. But I hope you're getting a gist of what's happening right now. That when God made the heavens and the earth, He loved you. He loved you so much. So that's what He made in the earth. But He also made things in your body that is almost like outer space too. It's another another dimension. It's like so amazing. It's like a universe in there. And things just know exactly what they're supposed to do. I don't get that either. It's like a machine. I get so amazed at watching on YouTube when this guy makes a robot and is able to walk and do backflips. But when I look at us, it's like, wow, we could do backflips, but we could do a whole lot more than what that robot can do. And the things that happen inside us is like, whoa, right? So I have to oversimplify it because it's going to take way too long to explain everything when it comes to the human body. So I just only focus on the immune system, right? How that thing works. I mean, the immune system is God's way of telling you how much I love you and how I want to protect you. Because this world is now very sinful. And there's everything that wants to attack you and destroy you. So I made an immune system for you. So I'm going to show you how that works. So go ahead, Abe. Lord, how manifold are your works. This is David expressing it like he finally understood when he looked into the earth. In wisdom you have made them all. The earth is full of your possessions. There's great and wide sea in which are innumerable teeming things, living things both small and great. Like David got it. When he would really get into creation, he understood how much God loved him. It's like, oh man, you're amazing, God. It's like he would go out in the world. It was like he was going to Disneyland every day. Like everything was just amazing to him. It says in Psalm 33:5, He loves righteousness and justice. The earth is full of the loving kindness of the Lord. He finally understood it. So when we were singing things, all the earth, hear the trees, joyful cry, praising you and so will I, right? All the earth will declare that your love is everywhere. And that's pretty much what I was trying to explain to you. Explain to you through those pictures. That He loves us that much. So now I'm going to go into this, the wonder within. And I'm going to talk about the immune system. So Abe, can you play that immune system video for us, please? Always attacked. And so what God did in your body is He created an army to fight them off. So He gives us an example of when a finger pricks a rusted. Oh, you got it working? All right, go for it.
Every second of your life, you are under attack. Billions of bacteria, viruses, and fungi are trying to make you their home. So our bodies have developed a super complex little army with guards, soldiers, intelligence, weapons factories, and communicators to protect you from, dying. For this video, let's assume the immune system has 12 different jobs. For example, kill enemies, communicate, etc. And it has 21 different cells and 2 protein forces. These cells have up to 4 different jobs. Let's assign them. Here are the interactions. Now, let's make this understandable. First of all, let's add colors to the jobs. Now, let's illustrate the cells. The central color represents the main job of the cell, while the surrounding ones represent secondary duties. Now, the immune system looks like this. Now, the interactions. Isn't this complexity just awesome? For this video, we will only talk about these cells and ignore the rest. So, what happens in the case of infection? It's a beautiful day when suddenly a wild rusty nail appears and you cut yourself. The first barrier of the immune system is breached, your skin. Nearby bacteria seize on the opportunity and enter your wound. They start using up the body's resources and double their numbers about every 20 minutes. At first, they fly under the radar, but when a certain bacterial population is reached, they change their behavior and start to damage the body by changing the environment around them. The immune system has to stop them as fast as possible. First of all, your guard cells, known as macrophages, intervene. They are huge cells that guard every border region of the body. Most of the time, they alone can suffocate an attack because they can devour up to 100 intruders each. They swallow the intruder whole and trap it inside the membrane. Then the enemy gets broken down by enzymes and is killed. On top of that, they cause inflammation by ordering the blood vessels to release water into the battlefield, so fighting becomes easier. You notice this as a very mild swelling. When the macrophages fight for too long, they call in heavy backup by releasing messenger proteins that communicate location and urgency. Neutrophils leave their patrol routes in the blood and move to the battlefield. The neutrophils fight so furiously that they kill healthy cells in the process. On top of that, they generate barriers that trap and kill the bacteria. They are indeed so deadly that they evolved to commit suicide after 5 days to prevent them from causing too much damage. If this is not enough to stop the invasion, the brain of the immune system kicks in. The dendritic cell gets active. It reacts to the signals of the soldiers and starts collecting samples from the enemies. They rip them into pieces and present the parts on their outer layer. Now, the dendritic cell makes a crucial decision. Should they call for antivirus forces that eradicate infected body cells or an army of bacteria killers? In this case, antibacterial forces are necessary. It then travels to the closest lymph node in about a day. Here, millions of helper and killer T cells are waiting to be activated. When T cells are born, they go through a difficult and complicated training process, and only a quarter survives. The surviving cells are equipped with a specific setup. And the dendritic cell is on its way looking for a helper T cell with a setup that's just right. It's looking for a helper T cell that can bind to the parts of the intruders which the dendritic cell has presented on its membrane. When it finally finds one, a chain reaction takes place. The helper T cell is activated. It quickly duplicates thousands of times. Some become memory T cells that stay in the lymph node and will make you practically immune against this enemy. Some travel to the field of battle to help out. And the third group goes on to travel to the center of the lymph node to activate a very powerful weapons factory. Like the T cells, they are born with a specific setup. And when a B cell and a T cell with the same setup meet, hell breaks loose. The B cell duplicates rapidly and starts producing millions of little weapons. They work so hard that they would literally die from exhaustion very fast. Here, helper T cells play another important role. They stimulate the hard-working factories and tell them, don't die yet, we still need you, keep going. This also ensures that the factories die if the infection is over, so the body doesn't waste energy or hurt itself. But what is produced by the B cells? You've heard of them, of course, antibodies. Little proteins that are engineered to bind to the surface of the specific intruder. There are even different kinds of antibodies that have slightly different jobs. The helper T cells tell the plasma cells which type is needed the most in this particular invasion. Millions of them flood the blood and saturate the body. Meanwhile, at the site of infection, the situation is getting dire. The intruders have multiplied in number and start hurting the body. Guard and attack cells fight hard, but also die in the process. Helper T cells support them by ordering them to be more aggressive and to stay alive longer. But without help, they can't overwhelm the bacteria. But now the second line of defense arrives. billions of antibodies flood the battlefield and disable lots of the intruders, rendering them helpless or killing them in the process. They also stun the bacteria and make them an easy target. Their back is built to connect to killer cells, so they can connect and kill the enemy more easily. Macrophages are especially good at gnoming up the bacteria which antibodies have attached to. Now, the balance shifts. In a team effort, the infection is wiped out. At this point, millions of body cells have already died. No big deal, the losses are quickly replenished. Most immune cells are now useless, and without the constant signals, they commit suicide, so as not to waste any resources. But some stay behind, the memory cells. If this enemy is encountered ever again in the future, they will be ready for it and probably kill it before you even notice. This was a very simplified explanation of parts of the immune system at work. Can you imagine how complex this system is? Even at this level, when we ignore so many players and all the chemistry. Life is awfully complicated, but if we take the time to understand it, we always encounter endless wonders and great beauty.
Your body is always at war, and you haven't even a clue. You don't even know. I don't even know that it's happening. And all I can think about is when I look at this, is like, man, God, you got an army inside my body. They know exactly what weapons to bring out. Like, what should I bring out? Should I bring out like my M16 or AK-47? Okay, I'll bring out my AK-47. Let's go. And then they start coming out there. It's like, oh man, we need backup. And like the body just knows this stuff. And I'm like, I'm so amazed by how this thing works. But that's just God loving us. He knew that we were going to be getting into that mess. And so he built almost like this machinery in our body that is almost automatic. It even learns. I mean, can you believe it? Well, we're trying to build artificial intelligence, right? But then in our body it has intelligence. It's like, okay, if I see this bacteria again, man, I don't have to call an army. I already got the right weapon for this. Boom! And he just nukes it, and you wouldn't even know that you were infected with it. That's amazing. And that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to knowing our body. There's a lot of other systems that we don't know about. So God really loves us. He created the heavens and the earth, and he made mankind, and he made mankind with this system. So I want you guys just to soak that in for a bit, how God loves us that much. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain to you God's love. And like I said before, it's one of the deepest expressions. I think you guys have sort of like an idea of how deep that was by going deep into space, deep into earth, deep into your body. It's a very deep expression. It goes beyond us. It's difficult to explain. That's a worm's explanation. Hopefully you guys understood. It's distorted by a sinful nature because we look at things in our own selfishness of what works for us. But it's also divine in nature. It's divine because it's God's character. And can you see God's character when you look at space? Can you see God's character when you look at Bora Bora or when you look at Boracay? Can you see God's character when you see the Odishan waterfalls? Can you see God's character when you look into your own body and all the systems? That is love. That is love, the divine love that's greater than anything that we could ever think of. So when I think of those that are very, religions that are very hateful and want to crush, they remind me of bacteria and viruses and all those things, those bad things. Because the God that I know fights them off and maintains life. Even when you look into its own body, the immune system, the body says to itself, look, I'm taking too much resources from the body. I did my part to save it. I'm not going to be selfish. I'm just going to go ahead and just commit suicide so that the body can continue to live. It's almost like the gospel's written in the immune system. It understands what salvation means for the body. It understands that it's not about the individual T cell or those macrophages or those neutrophils. Those neutrophils are pretty vital and crazy, right? The neutrophils, they're so bad that they destroy everything, but they also destroy the good cells too. So there's a special timer for them to die off, because if they're there too long, they'll kill everybody. Because that's their nature. They're like They're like super barbarians. They go out there, they're like your shock troops. They're like, kill, kill, I'm just going to destroy everything. And then there's running in there, you know? But they can't last very long because they don't have the mindset for that. So then they die off. And God designed it that way. So it's amazing when you think of God's love. So now, what I'm going to do is, because this is a very wide topic, I'm going to talk about God's love and just examine one term. We're going to use the other term, which is a lot deeper. We're going to use this one term called ahav. Okay? So we're going to be examining that term in the Old Testament. And we're going to see some examples of how God has expressed ahav. And the whole goal of this is to grow our understanding of God's love and seeing His love in our daily lives. Because I tell you the truth, once we understand God's love the way David understood God's love, then our worship becomes very similar to how David wrote the Psalms. And we become a true lover of God. And then we can understand what He means by the fear of the Lord. Because He mentions that a lot there too in the Psalms. But he came to that level where he just understood God's love so much that it was almost as though he had a spring of love coming out of his heart. So, hopefully that's what happens with us. And hopefully, as you do your daily devotions and going deep into Scripture, you'll discover God's love. So let's go ahead and start off with this. This is when God says, I love you. But because the Lord loves you, Israel, and because He would keep the oath which He swore to your fathers, the Lord has brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you from the house of bondage, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And so the term there is used as ahav. It's a Strong's Hebrew word 157. And it's also going to use Strong's Hebrew word 160, H160. But they're all the same meaning. One is a verb, which is ahav. The other is a noun, which is ahava. Like, when you say, my love, that's a noun, right? When you say, I love this person, that's a verb. But they're pretty much the same thing. It says here in Deuteronomy 10:15, the Lord delighted only in your fathers to love them. And He chose their descendants after them, you above all peoples, as it is this day. And He loves them. Nevertheless, the Lord your God will not listen to Balaam, but the Lord your God turned the curse into a blessing for you, because the Lord your God ahavs you, or loves you. It's nice when you hear a Hebrew say it, you know? It's like they know how to express it in Hebrew, where it actually sounds like, oh man, that person loves you. But yeah, it's ahav. 1 Kings 10:19, blessed be the Lord your God, who delighted in you. Interesting. Setting you on the throne of Israel. He's talking about Solomon. Because the Lord has loved Israel forever. Therefore he made you, Solomon, king to do justice and righteousness. That was what Queen Sheba, the Queen of Sheba said to Solomon. She also says it again here in a different book. Blessed be the Lord your God, who delighted in you. Interesting. God delights in us. Setting you on His throne to be king for the Lord your God, because your God has loved Israel, to establish them forever. Therefore He made you, Solomon, king over them, to do justice and righteousness. He loves. He loves. Here's an interesting thing in Proverbs 3:12. For whom the Lord loves, He corrects, just as a father the son in whom He delights. So it's interesting, right, when the Lord corrects, there's no hatred in when He does things. It's all done lovingly. I mean, I can even hear from parents, and I've never experienced this before, but I hear from parents that it's very hard for them to even spank their child or to discipline them. It hurts them. Why? Because you love them so much. You know what's going to happen when you discipline them. How much more with the Lord? How He doesn't want to do that. But He wants to correct us. His love is that great. That's ahav there. This one's ahava. Then the Lord said to me, and He's talking to Hosea, go again Love a woman who is loved by a lover and is committing adultery, just like the love of the Lord for the children of Israel, who look to other gods and love the raisin cakes of the pagans. So let me explain to you. God shows a prophet named Hosea, and he says to Hosea, Hosea, I want you to marry a woman that I know is going to cheat on you. I want you to marry her. I'm like, no, man, I don't want to do that. You're going to marry her because you're going to show to them how it feels, how I feel of what Israel's doing to me. Because she's an adulterous wife, chasing after other gods and going after attention instead of me. It's so painful for him that he allows this to happen, that in the book of Hosea chapter 1, they have a child together. I think the child's name is Jezreel. The next time they have a child, the child is Lo Rahumah, which means I will not show her mercy. And probably the reason why she's not going to show her mercy is because that's not her daughter. That's not Hosea's daughter. It's another man's child. And eventually she has another third child, and that child's name is Lo Ami, which literally means, this is not my child. And after that has happened, right, God commands Hosea, and I want you to visualize this because this woman right now has sold herself to Hugh Hefner. Okay, think of it that way. Has sold herself to Hugh Hefner. And then now God is telling her, I want you to love her again and buy her back. And the way he says to love her again is not things like, well, I'm just going to go ahead and just buy you back, but I'm never touching you. After what you've done to me, I'm never touching you. He's saying, in this ahav term, love her again. You know, make her your wife again. As if she never did those things, I want you to love her again like that. Because that's how I am with Israel. So he uses these things to help describe to you how deep God's love is. And that one I think is ahava, because it's a noun. Just like the love, that's not a verb, right? That's a noun. The love helps you kind of figure out, oh yeah, that's not a verb. There's a definite article that identifies you, but that's a noun. The Lord your God in your midst, the mighty one, will save. He will rejoice over you with gladness. He will quiet you with his love. He will rejoice over you with singing. And that's how God is when he loves his people. He rejoices over them with singing. You men that love your wives, is there a time that you dedicated a song to your wife? Or maybe you try to sing a love song to her? You know, that kind of love. She's loving it, and then you're also pouring your heart to her. Well, that's exactly what God is. He wrote that stuff. He wrote that mood. That's divine. That comes from him. Because he sings over Israel. He quiets them with his love. He rejoices over them with singing. And that term that they use is ahava or ahav. That's love that he uses there. And that's just one facet of it. Now, next Sunday we're going to talk about another one. And I'll give you a preview of that. That's called hesed. And hesed is a Hebrew word that's literally untranslatable. It's like equivalent to your deep Tagalog. You know, like you have some deep Tagalog words that when you try to bring in English, you don't know how to say it in English because it's like there's no term for it. You know, like you kind of like try to explain actions, but there's not a specific term for it. Man, it's a big term. It's a big term. It's almost like a term that's indescribable. Maybe that's what hesed really means. It's indescribable. And God uses this term to describe himself. An indescribable term. And to simplify it for us, we say mercy. That's what we do. But that mercy thing, mercy is oversimplified when we say it's not getting what we deserve. That's how we oversimplify it, but it's a lot deeper than that. And we'll kind of try to explore that next Sunday. Took a long time to come up with this, guys. I thought I could do both terms, but it's too big, and I'm not going to do you justice. You know, if I try to bang it all out in one day. So we'll go over hesed the following day. But for now, we'll deal with ahav. So the term ahav It's defined as this. Basically, this verb is equivalent to the English to love, in the sense of having a strong emotional attachment to and desire either to possess or to be in the presence of the object. Okay? It's like strong affection. Very strong affection. It's like almost like saying when a man loves a woman, it's like, I'm going to make you mine, whatever it takes. I'm not going to let anyone have you. You belong to me. Right? It's the idea when a woman says, I don't want you to go anywhere. I just want you to be wherever I go. I don't want to be away from you. It's almost the way Ruth was when she was with Naomi. Wherever you go, I'll be wherever you go. And whatever God you worship, I'll worship that God too. It's that kind of love. That's ahav. It's very deep. It's very emotional. And that blew me away, because when I started trying to look for, God loves, I was trying to look for hesed. That was my theory, that I'm going to find hesed in it. Because it's to me, the deepest, the morality thing. It's not based on emotion. But then I realized, as I started going through these passages, that God loves us with this passionate emotion. And I'm not saying that, emotions are good, because I'm a corrupted being, so my emotions twist me out. But God's emotion is so pure, it's so unselfish. Like, when he gives, he really, really loves you. It goes beyond me. It's like when my dad makes those awesome eggs for you guys for breakfast. Or when Kuya June buys roses for Aunt Marissa for no reason. Or when you husbands are going to buy flowers or gifts to your wives and take them out to dinner on Valentine's Day because you want to just do that. You want to just give to them. It's deep, man. It's like, I'm like, what is, I can't do this, Lord. But it's big. So, as a worm, I'm going to go ahead and give you my song playlist of what I think ahav looks like. So I went with bread. Right? So I went with bread. And it goes like this, right? It says, baby, I'm going to want you. Baby, I'm going to need you. You're the only one I care enough to hurt about. And then when I feel that, I'm like, whoa, that gets me. Man, you guys that guy, when he wrote that song, he made that song before I was even born. And I'm like, man, how come you guys don't make songs like this anymore, man? Bro, this is some good stuff. Our love was meant to be the kind of love that lasts forever. That's divine. No divorce, guys. No divorce. And I want you here with me. It's like I always want to be in your presence from tonight until the end of time. That's divine. The next one is my favorite. It's my favorite love song. Like, she's everything, right? She's everything I've ever wanted. It's like a possession. She's everything I need. When I talk about her, I go on and on, because she's everything to me. And then for you guys that grew up in this generation, Taylor Swift says, can't you see that I'm the one who understands you? I've been here all along. Why can't you see? You belong with me. You belong with me. So it's always wanting this presence, always wanting to always be there with you. It doesn't want you to leave. That's how God is. I hope and pray to God that when you start to go through your devotions, you start to feel that. Like, oh man, God really loves you. And you start to break down in tears. Because you're experiencing God loving you this time. This time you're just not singing a song because you're at a worship service. This time you're not reading the Bible because you have to. That you're actually experiencing God's love in it. So here, I'm going to give you a passage, and probably RJ is going to understand me when I quote this one. Deuteronomy 16, 1-2. Observe the month of Abib, which is at the time of spring, and keep the Passover to the Lord your God. For in the month of Abib, the Lord your God brought you out of Egypt by night. In other words, somewhere around March or April, God says, I hate what they're doing to the one that I love. I'm going to save her. I'm going to save her. And when I do that, I want you to celebrate the day in which I came and saved you. Right? But it's not for ego. Okay? It's not for ego. I don't want you to think of it that way. Therefore you shall sacrifice the Passover to the Lord your God from the flock and the herd in the place where the Lord chooses to put his name. You shall eat no leavened bread with it 7 days, and you shall eat unleavened bread with it. That is the bread of affliction, for you came out of the land of Egypt in haste, that you may remember the day in which you came out of the land of Egypt all the days of your life. That you may remember. That's the reason why he did this Passover. That you wouldn't forget. And there's one song that I could remember of listening to, and RJ introduced it to me, and it's very deep. I don't know if teenagers would understand it, but it says it like this. There, I just said it. I just want it that you don't forget about me. There, I just said it. I just want you don't forget about me. Find out later on Israel does forget about him. And they stop doing the Passover. And it breaks his heart. So he commands them to do that because he doesn't want them. He wants them to remember. It's as though like he's saying to them, remember when we got married? Remember all this stuff? Let's go over what we married. Remember this? Because the way I look at it, when it comes to divorce, it's willful forgetfulness. It forgets about the great times and why they got married in the first place. And so God is commanding them. Now you're going to start understanding, when you look at God's laws, commands, it ain't some rule book and then he's right there to get you. He makes these commands because he sees the relationship so important that if you go off those commands, it destroys the relationship. And there's a lot of pain that happens with it. A lot of it. And so he gives us these commands so that way we continue in this love relationship, so that we continue to enjoy who God is. But as soon as we start to get into ourselves, we begin to forget. We begin to forget how God is loving and kind. Then the things that used to be magnificent become taken for granted. Then the things that he used to say to you, it doesn't mean anything to you anymore. As if something in you is already dying. So that's what he means there. He just wants us to remember him. He desires you so much that he doesn't want anything. He doesn't want you guys to forget. He doesn't want you to forget the day that he saved you. He doesn't want you to forget the day that he baptized you. He doesn't want you to forget the times that when you were struggling and he delivered you through that. So he doesn't want you to forget. He wants you to celebrate those things. He wants you to remember him. Can you feel that? It's a relationship you're dealing with right now. This is your relationship with your God. It says here, have the people of Israel build me a holy sanctuary so I can live among them. You must build this tabernacle and its furnishings exactly according to the pattern I will show you. And if you just read it that way, then yeah, it looks like God is just dictating that he wants it a certain way. But then he says something interesting, doesn't he? I want to live with you guys. I don't want to be away from you guys. When Adam and Eve took of that fruit, it broke my heart because I had to be removed from them. When I called to Adam, I was like, Adam, where are you? I want us to, to hang out. I want us to be there. It's like, well, Lord, I can't be out right now. I'm naked. Well, who told you that? It's like, I ate of the fruit. I didn't listen to what you said. The command there to not eat of the fruit was so that they could continue the relationship. And they broke that. And because they broke that, all this happened. And that's sort of like the trend. This is God wanting to have that relationship back. He's doing what he can. Based on his holy nature and the people, he's doing what he can to connect with them. The Lord's Passover begins at the sundown on the 14th day of the first month. On the next day, the 15th day of the month, you must begin celebrating the festival of unleavened bread. This festival to the Lord continues for 7 days, and during that time, the bread you eat must be made without yeast. On the first day of the festival, all the people must stop their ordinary work and observe an official day for Holy Assembly. For 7 days, you must present special gifts to the Lord. On the seventh day, the people must again stop all their ordinary work to observe an official day for Holy Assembly. So if it comes to a place where you're in a married relationship and all you do is just want to work and work and work and work and work and work and build stuff, One day, your spouse might say, hey, when do you stop working? When is it time for we actually enjoy each other? And this is exactly what God is saying. I want to spend time with you. We're going on vacation for 7 days. We're going to celebrate the Feast of Unleavened Bread. We're celebrating, right? And I don't want you bringing your work with you, because every time you bring your phone with you, or you bring your stacks of files with you, we don't have a relationship. Don't do any work. It's about us today. That's what God is saying. And so here's an example of the man calling out to the one that he loves. If you don't know "Oh Most Beautiful Woman," man, they used to have like some lines back in the day. Follow the trail of my flock. And I know this isn't jogging with our generation, but back then, this was like, oh man, you know how to talk to me, right? Follow the trail of my flock and graze your young goats by the shepherd's tents. In other words, you know what? I have all this wealth. You want to feel secure? You go with me wherever you go. I'll provide everything for you. You are as exciting, my darling, as a mare among Pharaoh's stallions. I'm like, wow, that's really hard to be romantic on that thing. But I get what you're saying when you say that you're exciting. And when you're exciting, my darling. Like when I see you, it's like, man, everything in my heart starts beating really fast. Like, I can't wait to go and do great things with you. To be, to experience life with you. It just starts beating so fast. And so when you can imagine a mare of stallions, which is like, some really strong horses rushing, it gives you that effect. It's like the horse is like, how do I put it? Like, when you hear horses running, it's like, so it almost sounds like the heart of your heartbeat, like beating that fast. How lovely are your cheeks. Your earrings set them afire. How lovely is your neck, enhanced by a string of jewels. We will make for you earrings of gold and beads of silver. It's like, you know what? You're so beautiful, and I like what you're wearing right now. Where'd you get that? Man, you look awesome. Hey, you know what? I want to take you on a shop today. You buy whatever you want to buy because you look great. He's just so overwhelmed with all this stuff. Here it is. And now we're going to be getting into, again, the deeper part of it. Then the Lord said to me, go again. Love a woman who is loved by a lover and is committing adultery, just like the love of the Lord for the children of Israel, who look to other gods and love the raisin cakes of the pagans. It's like saying, you did this to me, but I got to be honest, though. I can't stop thinking about you. I just can't take you out of my memory. I still love you. I know you did all that stuff, but you know what? I still love you. I can't stop. Don't get me wrong, I'm still mad, and I'm angry about what you did. And I'm very angry, but I can't stop loving you. I'm going to keep on loving you because that's the only thing he knows to do. That's just how he is. Now, we go to Isaiah 57, that whole chapter. So I'm just going to go ahead and summarize that for you. So God talks about how Israel is committing adultery. And then he mentions how they don't fear him anymore. Because it's almost as though like when they were doing all that crazy stuff, he didn't say anything. But because he didn't say anything, it's as though like he doesn't really care. So they don't fear. It's like, oh, he doesn't really mind, so we'll just keep doing that anyway. So he says, well, you guys don't fear me anymore? So anyhow, the result was, so he withholds his protection from them and tells them to call on their idols to save them. Like he's really hurt. It's like, if you want to go and be with that person, then let that person provide for you. I'm not going to provide for you anymore. But then he also says, but you know what? I'm still willing to take you back and forgive you. You just come back to me. Just leave them. Come back to me. Leave them. And so, basically, that is a lot of other passages in the Old Testament, but I'm already at 11:11 right now. You see how long that is? So I just want you to understand, and I know it's a very simple statement, but I'll say it again. God loves you. God loves you And I hope and pray to God that as we experience the divine love of God, that we not only get what we need in life, but we have such an overabundance in our hearts that we're able to communicate the love of God to other people. That's God's love. Let's pray.